Hi guys, this is Nathnuma. Let's just say I've been down a Linux rabbit hole recently because I've been looking at what different distros do, if they're how stable they are, how good they are. Why should you use this distro over that one? And it's a pretty big world to look at. So I just kind of like it just kind of inspired me to do some stupid tier shite. So yeah, this is what we're gonna do today. I did edit this tier maker list to fit the current theme. The theme of this stream, which is
I'll sleep on it.
Oh, ads. It's not ads. Give me a moment. Interesting. It's not ads. It's more like I'm ranking Linux distros based on how good they are, how easy they are to use, to just like install it, boot it up, install the stuff you need, and then get going, to the average user, to most people. Like not everyone is interested in like fiddling with the terminal or trying to compile every single program from source. Like I'm basically ranking things. I'm ranking these distros here based off of my personal criteria, based off of what I would personally like in a distro, at least right now. Just install it, and then most things just work. Like, controller should just work. Printer, okay, well I heard that printers get a little janky with Linux, but they generally should also work as well. Other things like all the drivers and features like Bluetooth, like being able to turn on Bluetooth right off the bat. A bunch of stuff that like a lot of people take for granted these days. I should be able to have all of that. Like, if they have all of that and then some, then that's an instant S tier. Although, first of all, I haven't actually used all these distros in this list. I'm going based off of both my personal experience and things I've heard about them. And second, I almost forgot. Not everything is perfect. There will be some. Wait, does this not? Hold on. Okay, hold on. Sorry, I thought it wasn't capturing my cursor. Anyways, not everything is perfect. You'll see what I mean. Gosh, I'm sorry, I just want to get into it instead of just like, yay, so this is what I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna be doing this thing. Anyways, first up is Alma Linux, which is, oh yeah, in case you're wondering, I'm using, like, things might look a little different because I'm using, what's it called? Dark Reader. The Dark Reader instead, the extension. So, I don't know. They look like, I personally prefer this, like, darker thing. I'm actually gonna use this theme, just like the default dark theme, just to keep things a little cleaner. Anyways, Alma Linux, which is, if I remember correctly, is it a continuation of It's either a continuation of Red Hat or CentOS. Or CentOS, however you call it. Let me check. Alma Linux. Forever free enterprise grade operating system. So, binary compatible with Red Hat. What's it? Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Let me use a different search engine just to be clear. Also, if you're wondering what Linux distro I use, it's Kubuntu. Because I'm way too big of a sucker for KDE Plasma. Specifically KDE Plasma 6. And like snaps aside, I had a pretty good experience with Ubuntu overall, since like a lot of things just work out of the box. Anyways, yeah, Alma Linux. It is supposed to be a this is one of those distros that I've never heard of until recently, by the way. According to the website, Alma Linux is an open-source, community-driven Linux operating system. None of these distros are truly beginner friendly. Yeah, I mean, because the moment something breaks, you have to use the terminal. Yeah, I know. Also, hi Bidoof. How are you doing tonight? It's Friday, and I am actually kind of excited because I get to relax for the first time in a while. Anyways, wow, it's the weekend. I'm like, it's been so long since I've had to like socialize. Anyways, in a nutshell, which of these is the most like Windows and Mac OS in terms of you just do your thing in the computer and it'll just work? Also, and besides it, and like if some about something breaking, I'll get to that in a bit. I mean, like, no. How do I explain this? Ideal scenario is that nothing breaks at all. Like, even after, like daily driving it for 5 years. It'll just be smooth sailing for the most part. Linux Mint is not it. There are just so many problems with X11. It's just a false beginner-friendly distro. I feel like Linux Mint has definitely improved a lot recently. And I know that like there's like a bunch of different freaking wars going on in the Linux community, like X11 versus Wayland or freaking System D. I personally don't care, at least right now. I just want something that's not Windows or Mac. Anyways, and I'm not trying to like attack you for having a different opinion than me, just so we're clear. I'm just being like, I assume that you hate Windows as much as I do. Anyways, Alma Linux. Okay, right off the bat, distros that are like enterprise grade or like based off of enterprise distros. No, I don't hate Windows. And that's fine. Whatever works for you. I don't really like me personally, shoot, it's like I don't even remember like the pipeline that led me to installing Kubuntu. It was like just a bunch of small little things, like not even the forced updates. It's more like the yeah, I think it was just Microsoft just pushing more and more of their crap to me more than before. macOS treats you more like a kid than Windows with their shady nonsense. That's, you know, it's funny because from what little I saw, Linux users would prefer macOS over Windows, not because it's more like Unix, but because it's more of a leave you alone type of OS. Like, it doesn't constantly. I don't know anything about modern macOS. I'm not a Mac user. I presume it's kind of like how macOS has always been, in which it doesn't constantly like market a shit ton of software to you. Like, oh, you need to use here's OneDrive, here's Cortana. Oh, here's Copilot. Let's get back on track. Alma Linux is like, I don't really know much about, like, I assume, like, from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, Enterprise Linux is basically Linux for like a ton of people, like literally for an enterprise. Yeah, exactly. So like you can use it, but it's like I don't really know if like an enterprise distro is what you're looking for, unless you're running a company. Alpine is not beginner friendly. I've heard good things about Alpine Linux, but I tried it out on a virtual machine and it booted me straight to a command line interface, and I had no idea how to install the things I wanted. So yeah, there's that. Anti-X. I haven't used Anti-X. I do know that it's one of the few Linux distros that still support 32-bit architectures, which is actually really cool. But based off of my experience with Peppermint OS, I assume it's pretty good. Arch Linux, Arco. Yeah, this is Arco, isn't it? Yeah, the thing that teaches you, that's not a distro technically, but it's more of a website that has tutorials on how to use Arch. Although I guess based off of what... Actually, yeah, I'm just gonna leave it alone. And I'm just gonna leave in the not for beginners row, because Linux you have to, or not Linux, Arch Linux you have to build from ground up. You boot up into the terminal, and then it's like, for most people it's like, what the fuck do I do? Like, I shouldn't have to like spend the next 30 minutes just to install Firefox, or like get something that looks kind of like Windows, like folders and a mouse cursor and all. And there's Artix, which I am going to put in B. Okay, I'm gonna be a little bit biased here. I do know that Artix is one of those distros that doesn't use what's it, systemd, which Arch does, by the way. I'm not gonna go there. Yeah, I apologize. Like, I've heard great things about Artix. It's basically Arch, but you had multiple options on how to install. You can do it like the traditional Arch way, or you can just do it, or there are like installation images where you can, or it just like gives you a desktop environment out of the box, like KDE, GNOME, LX, that one, LXQC, or whatever that like low resource environment is. I would consider stuff like Proton GE, Lutris, Heroic, all this, even Wine as advanced for average users because how buggy and unpolished its setup experiences of these programs. Oh yeah, actually, it's just Linux being truly advanced for the truly average user. I'm pretty sure that my grandma can go and install Ubuntu on her like 20-year-old Windows 7 desktop without any issue. Like she can even use the she can go straight to the software store to install programs. You might be. I will admit that tech literacy is going down from what I'm seeing. Can your grandma play games on Linux without knowing about all this? Probably, if it has a software center installed. Let's I wouldn't say I'm the average user, but let's no Steam. Let's just say this. If it has Flatpak pre-installed on its system, something like Fedora or some other package manager that's like linked to the software store, then that's automatically way higher up. Like, okay, Bidoof, I feel like that we're a little bit confused here. Not everyone wants to play games, but even if they do, they can do usually Steam, like Proton Steam or whatever is enough. But obviously they're not going to be playing something like League of Legends or some other multiplayer game with like anti-Linux, anti-cheat. At that point, you wouldn't be using Linux. But back to Artix. This was interesting because they do provide like images with like pre-installed desktop environments. Some guy gave her a trial at Linux and she was very confused. How tech literate is your grandma? I know some people can get like that, like I know people can get just freak out over the like a molecule of change. But if like they do have to use a computer all for their daily tasks. If your grandma doesn't use a computer for daily tasks and whatnot, then yeah, of course she would. Average zero tech illiterate grandma. Then okay, I know that I mentioned my grandma probably being able to like install Linux on her computer, but maybe we have very different definitions of what the average user is. The average user trying out Linux would the average user using a computer would probably have some tech literacy. Let's not think too hard about this. I know, like, this isn't like a hardcore, like, this set in stone, this is what you need to follow. This is just for fun. Like, this is just me screwing around with just like shooting my shot at these distros. Let's leave it at that. And speaking of which, Artix was interesting because like I installed it. I installed really quick, but then like with the disk image that I used, I tried opening up the web browser, and it opened 5 tabs about Artix. I think it was like 2 or 3 wikis, and one tab being their website and one tab being like something else. And it's like, okay, I didn't really need to know how freaking awesome of a distro you are, but okay, I just want to use my computer. But also it's a B, not because of that, but because not everything is set up out of the box. Like, you still need to like go to go to terminal or whatever to set up FlatHub or like get a software thing. Why am I doing this like V thing? I don't rank any Arch-based distros as even good for the Linux average user. I mean, we have CachyOS and Manjaro. Where's Manjaro? Here. I have things to say about that, but we're going off of alphabetical order. So let's like hold our thoughts before we get off track. CentOS stream. I actually did use CentOS and it felt kind of slow. And also it's enterprise grade, so you're probably not going to use it unless you're at work. CachyOS broke last year. Wait, tell me more. I thought that people liked CachyOS and destroyed many NVIDIA-based laptops and desktops. Wait, what? I did not hear about this. And I did like a shit ton of research on Cachy. Well, not a shit ton, but like it was on my radar for the past few weeks. Clear OS. I actually don't know what this is. Clear OS Linux. The second result I see on Google is a Reddit post saying Intel shuts down Clear Linux. Look at why I don't use CachyOS anymore on YouTube. I'll keep that in mind. Clear OS. I have... Why Clear OS? I see server. Focus on home use includes commercial add-ons for home use. Am I looking at the right distro? Because this is not the same logo as the logo that I'm seeing. Clear Linux OS is a discontinued Linux distro. Wait, clearlinux.org. Clear for the Red Hat. I assume that the average person uses NVIDIA. Yeah. Or the average person might not even have a graphics card at all. Like they could just be using like integrated Intel or AMD graphics. Which already eliminates many Linux distros for not including the drivers by default. Although, let's look at it this way. If you're using Linux, you're probably well prepared that you're gonna have to like get your hands dirty with distro and setting up other things. But like on the other hand, there are distros that include NVIDIA distros out of the box. So, like, not intended to be a general purpose Linux distribution. It's designed to be used by IT professional for DevOps. Wait, what? Okay, alright, so it was developed by Intel. And no, I'm saying Clear OS and Clear Linux OS are two different things. Okay. Not recommended then, since it is no longer under development. So you're probably not gonna get all the latest drivers and whatnot. Alright. Debian. I truly acknowledge. Alright, you know what? How do I change the title of the stream? to be a more accurate representation of my ranking criteria. Ranking Linux distros by how easy they are. And I'm also gonna put a little disclaimer in the description and comments. Since you're the only person here, Vidoof, and we have been going back and forth about this for quite a while. Let's see, do this. And also do that on Twitch. Oh. And I'm gonna also put a little pin just in case anyone comes across this and anyone comes across this stream and gets really pissy about it. I didn't mean to start a war. Anyways. Oh yeah, Debian is a C tier because my experience with Debian was that it works. Maybe it works. You still have to set up a few things out of the box. And when it works, it's pretty awesome. But I did install this on an older laptop. And I couldn't get the trackpad to work no matter what I did. So for that alone, or maybe I could be just stupid and didn't enable a certain option, but fact of the matter is, that did significantly hamper my perception of Debian. Probably Wayland. You might be right, actually. Or rather, I mean, I still think Debian is... I do like Debian for like all the things it's done. And like being like a super stable, or like a rock solid stable distribution. But I've used other Wayland based distros and I didn't have a trackpad problem, so it's not funny anymore. Didn't you complain about X11 earlier? Anyways, Deepin, no. Without getting too deep into things, it's a Chinese distro, and let's just say, and the fact that like we still don't know whether Deepin and its like supposedly amazing apps are spyware or not is kind of alarming, especially since this is open source. And like even after staring at their code for a while, it's like I wouldn't use it. Elementary OS, I used this a few years ago just to see its like Mac OS like UI in person, and I actually really liked it. I liked it more than Zorin because it had more up-to-date drivers and it was a bit faster and more stable. And Fedora also spies on you. I mean, so does Ubuntu, apparently, but you can opt out of Ubuntu and Fedora's telemetry, can't you? Fedora will probably comply with age verification. I know Ubuntu is about to. I've heard about the like whole age verification bullshit going on with like California-based companies. Actually, I don't even know if it's just California, but still. Like, as far as I know, Ubuntu, you can just opt out of Ubuntu and Fedora's telemetry. It's way better than Windows and Mac OS's. That's for sure. I actually really enjoyed Elementary OS, and a good amount of people I've seen online also enjoyed Elementary OS. I believe it's Ubuntu based, but it looks nice and it kind of just works. It just works. I think I could use Flatpaks right out of the box and just do like a quick sudo apt update, and I was good to go. Endeavor OS, also known as Arch with a desktop environment. Also known as Arch with the things that most Arch users might install anyways, at bare minimum. I did replace Debian with Endeavor OS on my old laptop, and the trackpad worked out of the box then. So, but also I'm a little torn between B or C, because I still did have to. Oh, I'm actually gonna put it in. Because you still do have to install a bunch of stuff afterwards. Like, you need to set up your package. You still have to like install or set up FlatHub manually, and you also Bluetooth is disabled by default in Endeavor OS. Oh, it's a shame because I actually really like Endeavor OS. It was pretty fast, and things just kind of worked straight out of the box after updating everything. Sorry, I'm actually not sure. I was gonna rank this as B, because there were a bunch of things that worked out of the box, but like I just remember all the like setup I had to do after installing it to do the things that I wanted to do. I'm gonna put it in C tier because I really did have to do a shit ton of setup, while with like Kubuntu or Mint, you didn't really have to go through like terminal nearly as much. Still a pretty good distribution though. I mean, it's a really good distribution, but I have to be like, I wouldn't say Endeavor OS is exactly easy to use per se. Next up is Aaron. I have no idea what this is. And some of these I literally know nothing about and decide to like stay in the whatchamacallit. What's this? How does the saying go? I have decided to like continue to not know anything about some distros until this stream. Give your recently obsoleted computer Farron OS this Christmas. Oh, so you're telling me to wait another like 9 months to install your OS? Alright then. Baron OS is 10 years old? Oh, that's kind of nice. Whole world of distributions, it's... so it seems to be one of those, like... Definitely one of those OSs meant to replace Windows or even Mac. Oh, here it is. There's a British-made Linux distribution. I can't speak. Distribution that is based on Ubuntu. So, okay, I'm gonna put this in the never used, but I'm sure they're good. I could look more into Baron OS, but it pretty much seems like it's kind of going into the Mint route of like letting you keep on using your old computer. Fedora is an S because things work out of the box, and you also get, and Fedora, from what I understand, has more up-to-date drivers and whatnot. It's just a meme distro at this point. I have not seen Linus Tech Tips in a hot minute. I think it's been like over half a decade since I last watched LTT. You know what? You got my attention. Linus Tech Tips Pop OS. Let's see. I am seeing Linus lose it. Like 3 videos in a row of Linus kind of having an existential crisis. Thinks that he can't fix it. I mean, that kind of fits in line with my experience with Pop OS. You know, you know? Garuda. All I know about Garuda is that it's based on Arch and has an obscenely huge download size and has really steep requirements compared to other Linux distros, which are more like, it's like recommended that you have 8 gigabytes of RAM, and we're only gonna take up, like, I don't know, like 3 to 5 gigabytes of hard drive space, and then this thing comes here and demands 30 gigabytes of hard drive space. That's like bare minimum Windows 10. It shipped a beta DES 1.0. Oh. Alright, let's like go off on a tangent. It makes me sad because Pop OS did seem like it had a lot of potential, but then it just wasn't stable. And according to you, apparently it's like still not stable. And like their Cosmic desktop looks beautiful. Like it looks like what GNOME 3.0 should have been. But then that also has weird jank, especially if you have multiple desktop environments, which, I mean, I heard is generally not recommended, but still. Cosmic is comically buggy. I mean, to be fair, Cosmic is still like, it's still in development unless it's actually not unless it's out of beta. Also, Gen 2 is like, why would you ever use this unless you have like a very, very specific reason to like use it, or if you're like that hardcore of a min-maxer. Kali Linux, that hacker distro, you know, I actually have seen some people online who use this as a daily driver, which also happens to have software that they use for their job. But like, unless you're literally you're literally like I don't know, like a penetration tester or a hacker man, you would not be using this. Kubuntu. Okay, I know that. I know that we both, like 90% of all Linux users hate Snap and some of the other stuff that Ubuntu's pushing onto their own systems instead of just going with what everyone else uses. But at the end of the day, a lot of things work out of the box. It's stable. Kubuntu in particular uses an up-to-date version of Plasma KDE Plasma, and it also has like arguably the best software support out of the box, instead of having to like do loop-de-loops in order to install this one program to work, and only to like have it still not be guaranteed to run smoothly. Like, just so you're clear, I'm not like, for the record, I am not a Canonical fanboy. Kubuntu just happened to suit my wants and needs. Lubuntu, also known as Ubuntu for low-end desktops. I have not used, what's it called? Lubuntu. What's the environment? No one's saying you are. There's only me here. Yeah, but then like all of a sudden imagine if this video blows up and then like I get like 100 other Linux users yelling at me for using Kubuntu, and they assume that, and they just like make the they just like do like 100 hours of mental gymnastics to. That's not okay. I mean, that's not to say that every Linux user is a neckbeard, but you know, you never know. And again, please don't take most things I say seriously unless I say otherwise. Unless I say that you should take it seriously. Again, this is just for like shits and giggles. This is just it's mostly based off of my experiences and opinions and what I think the average PC user is capable of. What desktop does Lubuntu use again? It's I can't. Where is it? There's the QT LX Qt. Is it? No. Linux LXQT. Is it LXQT? I thought it was something else. Okay, I guess it is LXQT. I have not used LXQT, but it looks pretty decent. I assume Lubuntu is good. Let's just say my Linux journey ended with them. Oh no. Because it did a Linux. You had a Linux moment. Oh. I am sorry to hear. No, coming from experience, I know how devastating that is. Oh, everything's fine now. Oh boy, Manjaro. Which I have seen a lot of hate. I have seen a lot of people bash the shit out of Manjaro. I mean, not even, they just say, I don't like Manjaro, and then just leave it at that. Although, I'm still gonna put this in B tier, because there were some, because it actually ran pretty nicely when I used it for a little bit. But at the same time, it's not guaranteed that you'll have a rock solid distribution for the next several years, because I do know that Manjaro delays their updates from the Arch repository by 2 weeks. they do not do the same for the R repository. So if this one thing from R requires like a more modern package from the Arch repository, then more likely than not, it is going to be borked. But at the same time, I don't know how many Manjaro users, or at least like average Joes using Manjaro, would use the R repository. Let's just say that this is like terrible for power users, but okay for like people trying their best to move away from the dominant OSs. Linux Mint is interesting. I remember using Linux Mint a decade ago, and like my NVIDIA drivers just would not work. And funnily enough, I saw a YouTube video where I had the exact same experience, and that video was released 1 year ago. But then like I see all these posts saying that, oh no, Linux Mint might be like is way better than it was before. Linux Mint runs fine. It runs so fast and sweet, and it brought new life to my desktop. It's fine. I'm personally not the biggest fan of the. I mean, I think the Cinnamon desktop environment is fine, but I'm just that big of a sucker for Plasma. Give me all your blood. Delicious Plasma. But overall, Linux Mint is a distribution that I can respect. It's one of the few truly, I feel it's one of the few truly out of the box distros, or at least as close to out of the box usability that you can get. MX Linux, ooh, also known as the I had a term, the mountain of all goats. That you probably never heard of. The Linux Mint community is toxic, which surprised me. That is surprising to me because I've had a pretty good time with the Linux Mint community. I mean, apart from the like occasional bad apple, but that goes with everywhere. Anyways, I actually had a pretty good time with MX Linux during my brief stint with them. Had a pretty good. I liked how their default KDE desktop environments, how it looked and all, and it ran pretty smoothly, and it had a bunch of things out of the box, and everything just works out of the box. It was pretty nice. Like this, it definitely felt like Debian. What did I say about Endeavor OS? It's basically Debian with things most people using Debian would install on their Debian system. KDE Neon, not recommended because it's more meant for developers of KDE Plasma and KDE apps. I have seen quite a number of posts about like how unstable KDE Neon was. Nix OS. Did I have this? Oh yeah, I think it was in B tier because you still had to. It didn't come with Flatpak, but things did come out of the box, and also I'm pretty sure that I do know that a lot of System D haters absolutely adore Nix OS. Apart from the fact that it doesn't have everything out of the box, it's a pretty solid system. Pretty solid and optimized. Parrot OS. Let me see. Linux Parrot OS. It's either defunct or it's actually pretty cool. The operating system for hackers. Okay, well, then it's in the same category as Kali Linux. Actually, wait, I might have heard of Parrot OS while looking up what a penetration tester does. Anyways, yeah, you wouldn't be using this unless you're a hacker, man. PC Linux OS. PC Linux OS. What in the world is that? I see a Reddit post saying PC lost. PC Linux OS is the best with 2 exclamation points. According to Distro Watch, it is a user-friendly Linux distro with out-of-the-box support for many popular graphics and sound cards. Ooh. Interesting. Despite being a rolling release, PC Linux OS is known for its remarkable stability. Well, you have me sold. I never used nor heard of it, but I heard it's pretty good. Peppermint OS. Okay, I'm only putting this in B tier because when I used it, some of the UI elements were misaligned, and I wasn't sure how to. I didn't have time to fix that since I was just like looking into it, see how well it performed on like a random computer I had lying around. But it did look pretty nice, and it ran pretty smoothly. And this is also one of those rare distros that still supports 32-bit architectures. So yeah, and I've seen a lot of people pretty happy with using this as their daily driver. Pop OS, not recommended, because like I touched on earlier, it is still unstable. Like holy shit, it's just a lot of jank and just like the crashes and other stuff just not working as intended. Yeah. Puppy Linux. I do know that this thing is meant for like especially low end or like old systems. I know that there's like something about this, something about this and the root directory, which is like a huge no-no for security or something. But then I did see a YouTube video of someone installing Puppy Linux on like I think it was like a handheld Sony Vaio or something. It was some sort of handheld PC, and it worked surprisingly well. And there was this, I know that in the comment section of that video, someone used Puppy OS to, or was it Puppy OS? Puppy Linux? Puppy Linux, not Puppy OS, which is probably a different thing. Anyways, that guy used Puppy Linux on like an absolute piece of shit like rot box, because I think it could no longer support the most up-to-date operating system. And they essentially used it, like they like struggled out of Puppy Linux in order to apply to a bunch of jobs and do a bunch of like job training and whatnot. And they eventually did get a job, all thanks to Puppy Linux. And I was honestly really moved, because like it really shows that like even the a computer that you really would not want to use on a daily basis still has its use cases. And because of that, Puppy Linux goes into the situational bar. Probably wouldn't be using this unless you like literally didn't have any good PCs lying around. But it does what it does. And does it pretty well. Red Hat Enterprise Linux. It's an enterprise Linux. You probably wouldn't be using this at home. Slackware, also known as one of the great granddads of Linux distros. I know very little about Slackware, but I heard it's pretty good. I heard it's good. So was it Solus? Yeah, Solus. I almost said Budgie, but Budgie is their desktop environment. I'm only putting Budgie in A because their Budgie... No, I call it Budgie anyways. I'm only putting Solus in A because their Budgie desktop isn't nearly as feature-rich as KDE Plasma or even GNOME. But it ran pretty well. I think I still had to set up FlatHub? But it still ran pretty well. Not a whole lot to say. OpenSUSE is a B tier for me because maybe it's just me, but is it just me or is OpenSUSE kind of bloated? Because it has a pretty large installation file compared to other distros, and it also, I think it doesn't run as well as other distros. I know that the people who use OpenSUSE really like OpenSUSE because of how up to date its like packages are. But like, whether it's the rolling distro or their stable distro, there's unless you're a power user who doesn't want to use I feel like OpenSUSE is for power users that don't want to use Arch. That's my takeaway from OpenSUSE. Otherwise, I mean, it still runs fine, but I feel like you'd be better off with one of these guys. Tails, a distro that you can boot straight out of, that you can use straight out of your USB. From what I've seen, this is a oh no, I need water. BRB. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Alright, my throat got scratchy all of a sudden. So I was like, oh shit. And the first thing I say is, oh no. Like, unironically. Oh no! Anyways, Tails is a privacy-focused distro with the focus on like avoiding censorship or even like serving as a safe space, as a digital safe space. Probably wouldn't be using this as a daily driver, but I can still see it being used like a decent amount by certain people in the same vein as Puppy Linux. Tiny Core Linux. I'm very tempted to put this in not recommended because This is meant for like especially old hardware, or like especially old or low-end or old low-end hardware. Shoot, I was gonna put like the enterprise distros here. You know what? I might as well put the enterprise distros here because like there's nothing like exactly situational about these other than like they're more towards enterprises or companies. But meanwhile, the situational distros have either more out of the box or have like a more unique defining feature about them. Yeah. TinyCore is interesting. It installs itself entirely in RAM. So like every time you boot up the system, it reinstalls itself into RAM, and you have to, and like the only way to save changes to the operating system, or even I think even programs, is to save them onto like save a profile or something onto your USB file or USB drive. But I have seen someone watch YouTube out of TinyCore Linux with like I don't know, like 256 megabytes of RAM. So yeah, it is an option if you're severely limited in hardware. Ubuntu is it's kubuntu but with GNOME. I'm personally not the biggest fan of GNOME outside of touchscreen interfaces, but it's Ubuntu. It's at the end of the day, it is a pretty stable distribution, and a lot of things do work out of the box. I mean, there is Snap instead of what is it called? Instead of I'm speaking too fast. My brain can't keep up. Instead of Flatpaks. That should be a fairly quick fix compared to some other distros. Void Linux. I've heard about Void Linux. I don't actually know what it does. Enter the void, according to its hyperlink on Google. Oh yeah, I know. It is an independent distribution. It's not it's not forked off of another one like Debian or Fedora. I've heard people I think I saw people be pretty happy about Void Linux. So it's like at the end of the day, I think it's in the never used, but I'm pretty sure it's good category. Zorin. My initial experience with Zorin was that it kind of struggled with NVIDIA drivers because it wasn't using the most up-to-date version of Ubuntu. Actually, I think it was using like a previous long-term support version of Ubuntu. So things were definitely more dated. But then I used it again, like I think 2 or 3 years ago, and it was actually pretty nice. It ran a lot better. And I think there are even Flatpaks out of the box. I know people, I know that they do have like paid software, which is very unusual considering that the operating system that it runs on is open source. But ultimately, there's a reason that people like bring up Zorin when it comes to discussions on which distro I should switch to. Yeah, it definitely improved over the years, in my opinion. Nobara, the gaming distro that is based off of Fedora, but is not immutable. Apparently, the lead dev of Nobara isn't making Nobara his highest priority. Or like he's just kind of doing it whenever he wants to, as opposed to having it in active development. But I don't know. Overall, I've heard good things about Nobara. Cache OS. What was that one video? Why I don't use Cache OS anymore. And switch to Pika OS. I switched from Linux Mint to Cache OS. Here's why. I didn't believe the Cache OS hype. And then, well, the two anti-Cache OS videos definitely have more views than the other results. I'll keep. This is definitely worth keeping an eye out because the Cache OS is specifically optimized. Or like Cache OS has specific optimizations for better gaming performance compared to other distros. And you can still like mess around with your distribution if you so wish. It's F hype because it's only like 1 to 3% faster than basic Debian. Sometimes even worse than basic Arch. I say it's definitely worth keeping an eye out regardless, because the fact that this is gaining traction at all means that there should be more improvements down the line. Which brings me to Bazite, an immutable Fedora distribution that is also gamer focused. I actually did use Fedora recently, like 3-ish months ago. It was my initial choice for my daily driver, but then I wanted to do something with terminal, and then Bazite was like, no, you shouldn't do that because this is an immutable distro. You're not supposed to do that because of its custom kernel architecture. Oh, interesting. It's not perfect. There's still some hiccups here and there with like drivers and like compatibility and whatnot, but I was pretty happy with it from my experience. A lot of things did work out of the box. And it's still improving to this day. And then last but not least, what the heck is this? That's because you haven't used it for a long enough time. I mean, I did use it for a month before I decided that I wanted to use terminal. and then I switched to Kubuntu and then never looked back. Well, I mean, I guess I'm looking back right now with all these logos in front of me, but either way, I'm happy with Kubuntu at the moment. I have an image that shows a bunch of Linux distro icons and what distro they represent. The guy who made the video used it for last. He forgot to update over the holidays and came back to a fork distro. Are you talking about Kashi or Bazite? Because with Kashi, I can definitely see that happening, just because it's Arch. Kashi. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I mean, even then, that should not be happening just by leaving the computer off. What icon is this? I actually... Give me a moment. I don't see this on my giant list of distro icons. Oh, Omarchi. Omarchi, I definitely heard of. Isn't Omarchi just a... What's it called? Hyperland. Isn't it just a dynamic tiling Windows manager? I thought it wasn't its own distribution. Omarchi. Not for beginners because it has a learning curve. Like, I've seen Hyperland, I've seen Omarchi. The dynamic tiling system does look pretty cool. It's definitely not something I would use unless I'm absolutely committed to like exploring possibility, like all my options of improving the productivity. What do you mean video paused? Come on, Doom. So yeah. If you really want to get away from Windows no matter what, I would personally recommend these distros. Fedora, Kubuntu, Linux Mint, MX Linux, and Ubuntu. Elementary OS, Solus, Zorin, and Bazite are fine too. Arctics can work out. Peppermint. I mean, Peppermint worked pretty fine. I don't really have it as much. There wasn't really any... Oh wait, no, it did have a hiccup. It was the UI. I forgot. You probably need a specific reason to use these distros. This one is just straight up dead. This one is just a testing ground for apps. Or primarily a testing ground, meant to be a testing ground for apps. Primarily testing, whatever. And Pop! OS is... I wish Pop! OS was better. Because it would definitely be like... It would definitely be Ubuntu, but better. Don't use these even if you know a lot about computers and have no Linux experience. Don't use Deepin, and I assume that these are solid options as well. Even Kashi. Even the Arch-based distro. Yeah. Oh. Well, now I'm actually tempted to try Kashi because it's like Bazite for power use, and I it's like Vazai for people who are more experienced with Linux. I mean, obviously, I'm like, let me go to the Cache website and like start downloading it and flashing my USB drive and just like guide everyone through the Cache OX experience right now. Ugh. So yeah, yay, my first tier slop. My first tier slop stream out of the way. It's from like possibly the nerdiest thing I could ever do. I don't get the need of most Linux users to just distro hop around like that. You generally don't. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, distro hopping is generally considered bad practice, since at the end of the day, all these have the same freaking kernel under the hood. But like, if you're gonna switch between Linux Mint and MX Linux, you're gonna need like a really good reason to do so. Yeah, it's more of something like a, just like for, I see distro hopping as someone who's like not as experienced with Linux and has absolutely no idea which one they should go with, or they're just doing it for shits and giggles just to see like how well it runs on this and that. But yeah. Ugh. Long live GNU Linux, long live this silly mess of free of FOSS, of free software, and just a free working operating system that I can just like check my emails and create a to-do list and do my finances in. And I'm feeling really tired all of a sudden, and yeah, I'm just gonna end it. Thank you, Bidoof1207, for stopping by. Thank you for the banter and keeping me company. And I don't know when I'll be streaming, since I've been very, very busy lately, but we'll see. I've been really wanting to get back to Dark Souls 3, but who knows when I'll get back to it. Anyways, yeah, this has been Nathnuma. Hope you enjoyed my stupidity with this. My stupidity and like the most arbitrary Linux ranking of all time. And yeah, I'll see you guys then. Take care, everyone. Take care, Bidoof.